Melissa McCarthy is once again showing us her dramatic side in the new Netflix film, The Starling. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the recent Netflix film, The Starling, starring Melissa McCarthy, Chris O'Dowd, both alums from one of my favorite movies, Bridesmaids, in addition to Kevin Kline, Timothy Olyphant, and some other names you will definitely know in smaller roles. But before we get to the specifics of this film, I do want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. Please consider subscribing or hitting that like button down below. All that helps the channel. But also comment, because I have some strong feelings about this movie, and I'd like to see if you watched The Starling, where your head was at when you watched it, what you think about this film. So like I mentioned, the two leads here, Melissa McCarthy and Chris O'Dowd, they play a married couple who are suffering a great loss. Their daughter dies in the early scene. We don't, see it, but we know what happens, and she died of SIDS, and the rest of the movie is spent figuring out how to cope with that. And they sort of choose two different methods because Chris O'Dowd's character gets shipped off to a mental hospital where he is dealing with his feelings there, and then that leaves wife Lily at home to deal with grief by herself, and still going to work every day, trying to keep their house and all the things. In the meantime, there is a garden in the backyard that she's kind of been tending to take her mind off of everything else, and a starling whose nest is back there has begun to sort of be her nemesis, and starts harassing her, basically, and attacking her at times, and so she has a new obsession in stopping it. In the meantime, Kevin Kline plays a psychiatrist turned veterinarian that has taken a liking to Lily's, story, and sort of becomes a bit of a therapist for her, in an unofficial capacity. But this movie is a complete mess. Now, it's directed by Theodore Melfi, who directed Melissa McCarthy in one of the first times we ever really saw her being dramatic, at least on the big screen, and that was in the movie St. Vincent. It was a much more understated movie. Bill Murray was basically the star of that, but Melissa McCarthy was sort of his co-star. But at the time, she was known for all of the very broad comedy that she was doing. So that was sort of a departure for her. So these guys working together again, and of course she brought her Bridesmaids buddy Chris O'Dowd along. But this movie just is a complete disaster. Everything good about St. Vincent is just gone from here. There was some sweet emotional moments and a really even tone between the drama and the more comedic moments of that movie. This is just a mismatch of nonsense. It's this like broad, literal fall down comedy juxtaposed with this very, very sad and horrible drama story that has happened to these people, and they've lost their daughter, and they just don't give us any reason to not that we don't care, I guess I shouldn't say that, because we do care at least about the characters succeeding in their plight, but nothing about the script or the score or the tone of the movie helps that along. There are so many eye-rolling movements, moments, I should say, in this movie. The score swells at these, really would-be dramatic times, but everything is so either on the nose or way out in left field, and half the time it's right after some sort of pratfall moment that we were theoretically supposed to laugh at. And it's just, none of it works. None of it. And the acting here isn't really the problem. You know, Chris O'Dowd is always enjoyable to see on screen, and I was just commenting to somebody recently that it's been a while since we've seen him in something major. And so it was nice to see him. And Melissa McCarthy gave, for me, one of the best turns in a drama of the last few years in a movie called Can You Ever Forgive Me? She got an Oscar nomination for that role, and she was great in it. But here, it's almost as if the director, Melfi, was like, okay, well, we've seen you do the dramatic stuff. Why don't you do some of that? But then every like other scene, I want you to fall down, or this starling's gonna like swoop in and knock you on the head. It'll be really funny, we promise. And it's just tonally such a mess. Um, I would say maybe there's some chemistry with the cast, but O'Dowd and McCarthy barely even share any scenes together because, you know, he's away at the mental hospital and she does come to visit him, but about halfway through the movie, he has decided that that is too hard for him. So he's like, no, don't even come visit me. So they only really even share a few scenes in this movie. And she might have some kind of chemistry with Kevin Kline's character. But again, it's so like they're going for this broad comedy with, oh, he's a veterinarian, but he's going to be your therapist. It just, none of it worked. And I feel bad saying that because I like so many of the people involved in this movie. I was hoping for more on this, but I just can't even give this a passing grade. I was thinking about maybe giving this a D, and then I looked through all of my Ds so far in 2021, and it's worse than all of them. So I only have 3 Fs so far for the year, so I'm going to add this to the pile. This is a pretty short and sweet review because there isn't much more to say than everything I've mentioned. It's only negatives. There are no real positives to talk about. I mean, there's a couple of original songs here by like the Lumineers and Brandi Carlile and people I like, but even they feel out of place. Like we hear the one Brandi Carlile song start to swell, and I just thought, well, this is oddly timed. And then I heard her voice. I was like, oh, well, I like Brandi Carlile. Maybe if I heard this on her album or something, I would think differently, but it just doesn't fit here at all. You know, and then when I say the score, I mean the orchestral stuff too, just wasn't working with the scene. So yeah, I got to fail this movie. You know, that's why I want to hear from you in the comments. Did you see The Starling? What did you think of it? Am I out of my mind here? I checked the Rotten right before I did my review here, and the Rotten Tomatoes has it at like 20% or something like that. So I'm definitely not alone in my dislike for this film, but yeah, one of the year's worst, easily. So that will do it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here next time. Bye.